I'm hoping I have solved my phone problem. We'll see. I think the quality looks a little bit better than it did yesterday. Um, if it's not better by tomorrow, man, I got an opportunity to buy an iPhone 12. And then I can get a slight upgrade of what I have now, which is a Samsung A13, which is like a medium grade, I guess, smart phone, smart-ish phone. Not a fully intelligent phone, but not completely dumb either, I guess. As you can tell, I know little about any of this stuff. I hit the button and go, and I start talking, or I start doing burpees. That's it. Um, and that's really the way I want it. I don't want it to get too complicated. I don't know what you guys use for your videos. Um, I gotta admit to feeling a little technically, creatively inferior to pretty much every single one of you guys. Not in a bad way. Um, Big, hats off, salute to the creativity that you guys put in to across the board on YouTube. You know, I I see so much creativity on all kinds of stuff on every single channel on YouTube. Um, Burpees and some of the other subjects that I visit on YouTube. Music, I try to support local, not local, but people who are putting out their own music or covers of music quite a bit. I think that these are the people that really need that exposure, more so than a half-naked, bald, upper middle-aged, hippie-ish Yogi doing burpees in his basement. I probably get just as much exposure as I need to get. Our friend Osiris is here. Good morning. He says he uses his phone. You know what, Derek? I appreciate all of your videos. My all-time favorite videos are in your garden, because it's a beautiful spot. It's a peaceful spot, and it just has that has a certain essence to it that I really appreciate. Your garage is good too. Osiris goes on and says iPad. Sometimes I did not have an iPad. Yeah, I get, like I said, I have a middle of the road towards cheap phone, which was serving its purpose well up until yesterday. I don't know if I hit a button or inadvertently, but it went from being perfectly fine. What happened yesterday morning, I took my early morning walk. This is 5 o'clock in the morning or a little bit before, and it's my first walk of the day. It's after I've done my meditation, my yoga. I had my 1 cup of coffee, I write, and then I get outside and I take a walk. And it was cold. I took my phone out. I was hoping to take a photo of something, and when I turned it on again, it was all messed up. Derek says, thank you. Not out in the yard as much. You doing burpees lately? Of course, when you're with your crew, that's pretty scenic as well. Which is one of the most amazing things about California is you're in I'm going to take it to a parking lot of some sort. A parking lot in California, and it's one of the most scenic places that you see. Very few states can offer that as well. You know what else surprises me? Vinny, and a lot of his videos where he's driving and being in New Jersey, and it's incredibly scenic. I've been through New Jersey quite a bit. I've hiked through New Jersey on the Appalachian Trail. and I went through the Pine Barrens. It really is a beautiful state. Um, People used to joke that New Jersey being called the Garden State, but if you get out of the Newark area, if you get outside of the uh, places that have the concentration of people, it is very rural, very scenic. They also have pretty big bears there. Um, in the upper New Jersey mountains, they have some of the biggest bears on the East Coast, weighing as much as 5, 6, 700 pounds. Same with where my family's from in central Pennsylvania. Pretty big ones. Osiris says, Venture Botanical Gardens parking lot. Yeah, beautiful place to work out. And I really find, and this says something about the fact that I'm doing my burpees in a dingy little basement. Um, in a dingy little 1970s era basement, as Reverend Terminator and Hybrid Jim like to point out, that my home has a 70-ish feel. I've been stuck in time for the past several decades. That working out outside, getting that feel to it, is just amazing for your emotional resiliency, as well, physical health. Now, I do my burpees in my basement, but I'm outside for that early morning walk. I try to get before the sun so I can get that first sunrise hitting the eyes. The health benefits for that, I've explained that before. Always happy to explain it again if anyone needs to hear. And then I'm outside again with Mocha and Misty, our dog, and we get in a couple more miles. So I get most of my aerobic based activity outside twice a day. And then my workout, my burpees, I just prefer to do them inside. Again, no one really needs to see me bouncing up and down. It's a personal thing. It's the same with meditation. I don't enjoy meditating outside. I don't want to add distractions to what I'm doing. I know some people do like to meditate outside. Of course, there's different forms of meditation. You could do a walking meditation outside. And I think just being in nature, particularly alone and in silence, is a meditation completely on its own. I don't think you need to add anything to it. Let nature work through you. We're busy. We're a busy species where we feel the need to add everything. Don't just go out in nature, but bring a picnic basket. Don't just go out in nature, but take photos. Don't just go out in nature, but do things. Which none of that is bad whatsoever. But sometimes, just go out in nature. Breathe, sit, listen, let things unfold. Stop telling your story, which we all do, and we don't even realize it's a story. That literally everything we say, we do, we believe is a story. Now again, I say stuff like that in no way implying that a story is bad. We need them to help us navigate through life. The problem is when we believe that our story is who we are and not just a useful tool for navigating life. And when we believe that only our story makes sense, only the story that we're telling now makes sense. And it is, if you don't buy into our story, then you're wrong. Not just wrong, but you're the enemy. You're a tribal enemy. My tribe defines me. My story defines my tribe. And vice versa. And then we're stuck in this pattern. And yogic psychology, the patterns are called samskaras, and we don't even realize that they're patterns. The whole process of yoga is stilling the mind so that we recognize these mental fluctuations that draw us in. And Derek says that is only our story, emphasis on only. Tell new stories of who you are whenever you want need to. Exactly, 100%. That's the magic of stories. They don't have to fully define us, but they can shape us. They can lead us. We can be led by the stories that we tell. And as Derek said, why limit ourselves? Most of the stories that we tell, we don't even fabricate ourselves. We inherit them from our parents, from the media, from teachers, from clergy, from things that we've read that for whatever reason we've resonated with. And then we go through life believing that we have free choice and that I chose this. This is who I am. Thanks to Simon and Derek with their 2 updates to the books and burpees. I was going to do another one maybe later today on a book that I'm reading, The Flowering Wand. And it is about retelling the story of our sacred masculinity, which has been a subject of discussion in the burpee community before. And I see it all the time in YouTube communities. Everyone wants to talk about masculinity, talk about toxic masculinity, not knowing that that's just a story of masculinity. It's not masculinity itself. Even the stories that you say that this is what a man is, and then you say a list of things that you believe a man, it's just a story. In A Course in Miracles, they say that words are but symbols twice removed, meaning that it's not the actuality. The map is not the territory, the meal is not, or the menu is not the meal. And yet, we proceed telling these stories 100% believing this is the way it is. This is the way a man behaves. The thing is, masculinity itself is just an energy. It's an essence. And it courses through everything. And of course, it courses through us, through men, all the more so. But it is neither aggressive nor any of the titles that we give it. It just is. The same with femininity. Now, again, in stepping away from yogic psychology to yogic philosophy, and it is the Shiva Shakti energy, with Shakti being the all-creative feminine source of everything. And yet, without Shiva, it doesn't have the drive to take certain shape. So it's the blending of the two that creates the universe. In Taoist, it is the yin-yang, and it is the dot within each representing that not just do they blend together, but in essence, they contain each other. And so when you see that, when you see the sacred masculinity and you see the sacred femininity working together, you don't have to make any claims. A man is whatever a man is. Everything that comes after is just a story. Same with feminine energy. We make the mistake, and I see people say, well, you know, it's just science. They talk about gender, that there's 2 genders. It's just science. Except it isn't science. It is actually the opposite of science. That there's multiple genders expressing itself however it sees fit. Doesn't matter what we say about it. There's 2 biological sexes. But that's not gender. And science actually shows that. They typically don't get involved in stuff like that, except occasionally just rising to the defense of an issue. But you know what? You do yourself no favors getting involved in that. But man, sometimes you don't need to do yourself favors. You just need to, get to the bare facts of the matter, discarding all those stories which is hard because we've invested so much in ourselves. And when I say we invested in ourselves, I mean we've invested in that false self of who we think we are, not the true self of who we are. Now, again, in yogic psychology and philosophy, the true self is Atman, the everlasting, all-pervading witness. Buddhism itself even gets rid of that, even gets rid of the witness of the Atman, claiming there is no inherent self whatsoever. Of course, yogic psychology, that self isn't an individual self. It's not a self as in this everlasting thing. It's the appearance of a self. Sort of hard to describe. Osiris says, and sometimes both sexes on one person. And you know what? It used to be, in most cases, historically, until one side began telling history, that Native Americans honored two-gendered people or more. To me, it just doesn't seem to be an issue how it's expressed. It just, don't make more of it than it is in either direction. Be who you are. But of course, there's a big population that does not want you to be who you are. They want you to fit in for whatever reason. It makes no sense. Destiny Forever Walks is here. Forever Walks PhD is here. I try to always make a point of adding that PhD because that is quite a huge honor and should be celebrated in every moment. And she's asking, how am I? And I'm doing very well. Thank you. And it is what it is. Lewis is here. Good morning, guys. Osiris says most cultures recognize many. Historically so, yes, 100%. So, Lewis has some bad news. What's the bad news? You got injured? I saw that you put up a video to ride with you, and then I clicked on it, but it was gone. How did you get injured, and how severely? Wow. Was taken to the hospital from the desert. I hope not too severely. I hope, well, 65 miles an hour. It is what it is. Says was racing and I fell off going 65 miles an hour with a concussion. Anything broken? It says his right hand looks like a softball. I'm thinking the only fortunate thing out of this is that you are in your layoff mode. So you have plenty of time to heal and recover. One rib with a minor fracture. That concussion sounds like the major thing. Hopefully your left hip is just bruised. Maybe a deep bone bruise. And nothing. Did they x-ray? And Lewis says he is out for 5 weeks. Well, you know what? That should be just by the end of January. So, it doesn't push your comeback by that much. As well, when you come back, you're building up. So you'd be taking it easy. So, timing-wise, it might work out just enough to get you back in the game. Man, really sorry to hear that. I was wondering what happened to the video. Lewis is saying that letting Destiny know that he got hurt while riding. Well, almost got airlifted. Yeah, they must have thought it was pretty serious. And of course, any concussion, any head trauma is serious. Definitely needs to be addressed right away. My quad is wrecked. Handlebars. Wow, that's too bad. Really sorry to hear that. Destiny says that she's sorry that she actually watched a lot of the beginning of that vid. And Lewis says it was one hell of a day. I can imagine. Your wife must have been frantic with concern. I found sometimes things like that are, even in the severity of our injuries, it's still tougher on our loved ones than it is on us. We can deal with the pain, and we can sort of assess what's going on. How bad is it? Shrug it off. At least I'm gonna live, or whatever. But man, our loved ones, they don't know that. All they know is they see the person they love in pain and suffering. Yeah. And Lewis says yes. Oh my God, she freaked out. I know with my dad, one thing with my dad, when we were he was the primary caregiver for my mom with Alzheimer's. And with Alzheimer's, you don't know how bad a person is feeling because they're no longer capable of letting you know how badly something hurts. That comparison chart is no longer there. And it used to worry him so much that there might be things hurting with my mom that he couldn't take care of, that he couldn't fix. And then when I became my dad's primary caregiver, it was an incessant concern, never any let up, that I wasn't going to, during the shutdown, during the worst of COVID, that I wasn't going to be able to keep him safe, that something might, I was one of those paranoid people. I cleaned my groceries off. I double masked. I wiped down the mail every time I went out to get it. I saw my stepdaughter, and I saw my ex-wife, and our dog. That was the extent of my outside connection. But you know what? I'm glad 1,000% that I did all that to keep my dad safe. You just have to. You have to care for your loved ones. And, I can definitely see Lewis's wife freaking out. Especially, man, wrecking at 65 miles an hour. That initial shock to her system must have been paralyzing in the amount of pain. Lewis, definitely let your wife know that I'm thinking about her, and that I'm thinking about you too. Man, I don't want to minimize what you're going through at all. But, thinking about you, I'm wishing you well, healing thoughts, but also let your wife know that healing thoughts to her as well. I've been lucky in all of my major accidents. I've been lucky and drunk in all of my major accidents. which is why I've had every one of my major accidents. And so fortunate that I have never injured someone. You would think that would be enough, once would be enough to keep you from doing something stupid again, but I had a decade of stupidity. I don't know why. I don't know why I kept making those same mistakes over and over and over again until one day, and I don't know why this happened either, I stopped. I didn't make a decision. I didn't say I'm no longer going to drink again. I just, in an instant, became someone who no longer drank. And it literally was an instant. And I knew something had changed, and I also knew that I was never going to have a drink again. And I haven't. Lewis says it's a good thing I won the race. Well, wait a minute, though. Did you get a trophy? Because it only counts if you get a trophy. Derek says that he's a real slow learner, too. Yeah, but you know what? We learned. It took us a while, but we learned. And Destiny, as always, makes an excellent point. There are blessings in the lessons. I agree. Reminds me of, I quoted already once, The Course in Miracles. But another quote is the only lesson, talking about Jesus, the only lesson in the cross is that we all survive our own crucifixion. That's the true lesson of Christianity, or any spiritual tradition. And that basically means that we crucify ourselves, and yet if we can recognize that, we can survive. Not only can we survive, we can learn to thrive, be better people, and to help others, serve others, to lessen the severity of their own crucifixion. And man, that to me, the whole purpose of my life is to lessen the severity of the crucifixion of others. If I can do that in any way whatsoever, by a good word, by a smile, by helping someone promote their own YouTube channel, by whatever little tiny thing. And you know what? It's all little things. You think of every great activist ever, and it started with little things. It started with Gandhi being kicked off the train in South Africa. It started with Martin Luther King being inspired by Gandhi. And it started with his crucifixion for being who he was and refusing to apologize. That generation of black people before him had to apologize for being who they were. Until eventually it added up. All those actions added up. Lewis says, no, he did not get a trophy. You know what? I feel bad about that. We should all pitch in. I think everything that happened to you, you definitely deserve a trophy. Or, barring a trophy, as soon as you're able to, your wife needs to take you out to dinner. And definitely do something. A trophy of a cake, or a trophy pie, or a trophy donut. What was the donut? Maple glaze. And Lewis says, yes, Destiny, I've learned mine. And Osiris says, so thankful that I'm at least slow. Yeah, man, definitely beats doing it over and over and over again. Because I've done it. And I know, as Eric implied, he's done it. But man, why do we have to do it over and over again like that? There's absolutely no answer. And there's no answer to why someone all of a sudden wakes up and says, well, that was stupid. And you got to laugh at yourself. Even the tragedy, you got to laugh at how we've played life. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you see, as Derek and I were talking earlier, all the stories that we've been telling ourselves, believing them to be true, and we don't have to do it anymore. Or we can give ourselves a completely new story and then discard that and give ourselves a new story again. And then life just gets playful, happy. And by happy, I don't mean bad things don't happen, that tragedy still doesn't happen, but we see through that as well. That it's just life. Life happens, and by life happening, that means everything's allowed. Every possibility that exists, that can and will happen, can't be denied. We can no longer say, why me? Because why not you? It's just life. We're part of life. We're deep participants in life. As deep as every single particle in every atom. We're the fabric of reality. So why not? Why not us? Sorry, says, survived it trophy. Yeah, definitely a survivor. But you know what? Man, we got to pass that trophy around. We're going to give it to Lewis first, but then he's got to pass it around to the next one because we have all survived that stuff. Who were you racing, Lewis? And I think if you were racing me and you beat me in wrecked, I would demand a rematch. I think technically I would say I deserve the trophy for not wrecking. He said he was on a Hyundai 450. Lewis says he smoked him 3 times in the past. Man, you know what? You should have said to yourself, 3 times the charm. I'm not going to give you a rematch. I think 3 times, 3 times is definitely enough. How many times did Frazier fight Ali? Was it 3 times or twice? I know they both paid a heavy price for that fight. For years, for decades afterwards. Lewis says, yeah, so right, Eric. I said that to myself, and I felt so dumb. Yeah. But you know what? On the flip side of that, you beat him 3 times. It was a pretty safe bet that you were going to beat him again. So, it's hard not to give ourselves that shot of, to give our ego that shot of, let's feel really good. Let's beat this guy one more time. It's a hard thing to pass away, It's like keeping with the boxing mentality. When Mike Tyson fought Frazier's son, Marvis Frazier, and beat him in 90 seconds. I can tell you for a fact that Marvis Frazier did not want a rematch. Why would he? But if I was Tyson, I'd be like, sure. I bet you I could beat you in 87 seconds this time. I bet you I could beat you in 40 seconds the next time after that. So why not? Sometimes it pays to be cocky, sometimes it doesn't pay to be cocky, that's for sure. So, burpee news. I'm trying to do the breathing burpee routine with down-regulated breathing afterwards, at least 2-3 times weekly. And I'm really enjoying it to the point where I almost don't want to do faster reps any longer. Except I still have a drive of wanting to chase reps. So it's a nice balance. Absolutely nothing wrong to chase reps. As long as you do have a balance. And as long as you don't get caught up in just the end result. I mentioned this once before, and actually I remember Derek replying to it. Chase reps for the sake of chasing, but not for the sake of the results. Osiris says, except you still want to. Yep, definitely. And it's the same with racing. You know, you want to see if you can do it. I definitely like going after the reps, but I also definitely love the fact that I don't feel hung up on a sense of achievement. That all-out set in and of itself, no matter if it's 109 reps or 115 reps or even less, the fact that you're able to go all out is what counts. The end result, to me, there isn't really an end result. There's no result. There's just that. There's just doing it. I get in discussions quite often with the non-duality crowd about the purpose of meditation, asking me why I even bother to still meditate, why do I even bother to still do yoga, that it doesn't lead to awakening. Awakening happens on its own. I always prescribe to what Jack Kornfield, the Buddhist author and meditation teacher, says, that that's absolutely right. Meditation doesn't lead to awakening. Awakening is an accident, but meditation makes you accident prone. You're more likely to have an accident if you put yourself in the conditions where accidents happen than if you don't. So don't meditate to achieve an awakening or to achieve enlightenment. Meditate for the love of meditating. I feel good. My life is easier when I meditate. I love the quiet. I love that deep, deep internal stillness that comes. I love the stillness that comes through my yoga practice. Every aspect of it, from the philosophical yoga practice all the way to the asanas and the breath work and the meditation. Not everything needs to lead to something. You know, just do it because you love to do it. And you know what? You don't have to offer an explanation to anyone about any of that. It's enough that you love it. All right, guys. I think that will wrap it up for today. I appreciate you all being here. Lewis, I really am wishing you a speedy and full 100% recovery. And again, please let your wife know that I'm thinking about her as well as you. Destiny says no more smoking people past 3 times. It is what it is. Just be safe rather than being sorry. I agree 100%. Excellent advice. And Destiny says, thanks for the discussion, Eric. And thank you for being here. Very much appreciated. Derek, I appreciate you being here too. And you guys have a really good day. Looking forward to seeing what you all do this weekend. Burpees, treadmill, all of it. You guys have a good day. Take care.